I sure hope nobody's watching this. What's up, guys? In an effort to bring you more content, we've decided to start bringing you more content. Shit. We have an episode of the Old Man Grappling Hour that's a little bit different than what you're normally used to. This one is going to be Uncle Coach Kevin. He's going to be interviewing a blue belt. His name is Gino Collura, or Collura. I hope I'm not butchering that too much. He is a blue belt in Jiu Jitsu, and he's also a PhD in Neuroanthropology. I have no idea what that is, but I'm pretty sure I said the word right. Anyway, without further ado, here is Kevin interviewing Gino. Enjoy.
Awesome, bro. So let's start off a little bit with you. Tell me about yourself. Where are you from? How'd you get involved in something like this? And what some of your motivations are behind that?
All good, man. So I'm born and raised in Tampa.
Okay, cool.
So family second generation here in Tampa. My mom's from Cuba. My dad's from Sicily.
You sound like that quintessential Tampa Cuban Italian fucking crossover. Yeah. you got that top. I'm both born and raised in Tampa myself, so I know.
Bro.
Where are you from? Where do you live in Tampa?
Yeah, dude. So we actually, my parents took me out to Wesley Chapel. That's actually where they raised me. But I used to go to West Tampa all the time. My grandmother owned a Cuban sandwich shop out there, dude.
What shop was it? Which one?
Called Obi Sandwich Shop. So it used to be really big back in the 80s and early 90s, but then it was sold off to Arcoides. I don't know if you're familiar with Arcoides.
Dude, I used to eat Arcoides every fucking day.
Yeah, dude.
Which one is it? Is it the one on
the
on
pizzeria one? Yeah, not the one that was closed down on Columbus, on the other one on Tampa Bay.
The one on Tampa Bay, yeah, it's Small Hood, man. I used to fucking ride my bike up and down. I remember that place. I kind of remember it before it was. I remember before it was Arcoides and when they bought into Arcoides.
Yeah, dude.
That was me and my parents' first place to go eat at. My mom and dad knew we used to go all the time.
That is so dope, man. It's my grandmother's house is right off of Braddock Street. Right, so if you know that area, then you know Braddock.
Yeah, that's where the where the guy used to do the Christmas lights and shit.
Yeah, dude.
Braddock Street. When you were a kid, that's where you went for Christmas. You fucking stand on Santa Claus and laugh and shit.
Yeah, dude, that place that was it, bro. So had some awesome childhood memories, man. You know what I mean, out there, and you know, but I was raised out in Pasco County, so. But no, I mean, dude, you know, from leading up to this research, right? So I started judo at the age of 5, and since you're from Tampa, you'll know Ed Maley's school judo.
Yeah, Ed Maley. Everybody's on Ed Maley, right?
Yeah, everybody went there, dude. So my parents put me in there, trained there for a while, and then I got introduced to boxing, started boxing for a while, trained up at the Hurricane Boxing Gym, and then over at Culta's off of
How old are you?
I'm 33, brother.
33, okay, you're a little bit younger than me, but I got just checking.
Yeah, dude. So, you know, did that, and then one day, actually, I was up at Culta's off of Bears in Florida, and I'm walking in the back of the boxing gym, and I see the sign that says Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and I'm like, what the hell is that? So I look in, and I see this short Irish guy, and, you know, he's talking to people, and, I mean, he had just moved in there. And he's talking to me.
You go way back, man. That's
bro. I met Javier when he was first here, like in the first month or two.
2004, maybe 2005.
2002, man.
2002, yeah, that's way back, man.
Yeah, dude. So, you know, you're like any punk kid, right? I'm like, dude, I did judo for a long time. Like, I feel comfortable grappling. Like, I'm good, man. I don't need that stuff. He's like, I hear you, man. He's like, but just come try, you know, one class out, man. It's cool. I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, dude. So long and the short, he tapped me like 10 times in the first minute, and I'm like, yeah, I need to learn this shit.
What belt did you get in judo?
Brown.
Okay, so you trained for a little bit,
Yeah. Trained for a little bit for sure.
Okay.
But I mean, dude, clearly, right? Like, you know, the idea of throwing and pinning is a very different game, right, than the BJJ game, right? So
it's a different evolution.
Yeah. 100%, dude. 100%. So, so anyways, dude, so I got hooked, man. You know, so I trained with Rob for about 2 years, and finished up college, and then ended up going to go work overseas. And so I spent about 3.5 years living and working in Colombia, South America, in the executive protection industry. So did that, and it was a great opportunity, man, because I had a chance to meet a lot of really good people. But I met a lot of Colombian military, and obviously had interactions with the U.S. military as well. But
I'm just curious, how did you get involved in something like that?
Yeah, dude. So I went to executive protection school down in Miami, and then I did a few executive.
So you're actually trained as a bodyguard and
correct.
whatnot. And okay, cool.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, fast forward to the industry nowadays, man. I mean, especially overseas, where like contracting work it's everywhere now, right? And so like that's a big deal. So I was never on the DoD contract side. I was on private security side. So for corporations and people who conduct the international business and that sort of thing. Right. So much lighter. Like there's nothing sexy about that work, man. People are always like, "Oh my God, it's so badass." I'm like, "No, dude, it's kind of boring." To be honest with you, like your job's not to get in the middle of the scuff, man. Your job's to avoid conflict at all costs.
Right. Exactly. More avoidance than actual interaction.
100%, man. 100%. Right. So by no means, cool. Were we trigger pullers or anything like that. That wasn't the job.
Right. The movies make it look a lot cooler.
Oh, dude, 100%, man. So, but nevertheless, man, like, living in a different country, a third world country at that, and seeing different interactions, kidnappings, guerrilla groups, it's an incredible education for a young man in his 20s, like, to get, right? And so.
So you were younger. You were in your mid-20s, like fresh out of college. Okay,
100%,
cool.
dude. So.
Okay, cool.
But, being exposed, first and foremost, being displaced, right, from everything that I knew at my home, that in itself could be considered quote unquote traumatic, though it's not trauma the way we think it, right? But it's this idea that you're living a different life. You're exposed to a whole new world and a way of doing things, but you don't have your support system and your support network. So if you think of guys in the military who get displaced and they get deployed out to combat, they lose everything that they know as far as what home means. Now, they have the camaraderie of the guys and gals to the left and to the right, but still, it's traumatic in the sense that it's new and you have to get acculturated to what that means and what that looks like.
So it's almost like the classic boot camp. They strip away what you know and then reteach you what they want you to know, and then
that's exactly right.
That. So like now your family's no more, but your new family is
bingo
is what you have. And then when you add in wartime, that bond grows even more.
100%, dude. 100%.
Sorry, I'm not. Sorry, keep talking. I'm horrible by interrupting. I apologize.
No, it's cool, man. It's cool. It's all good.
It's more for my brain to get the gears working than anything else.
Yeah. No, it's all good, dude. So, anyways, but I also had the opportunity to work with guys who unfortunately, there were some circumstances where things went south, right? And in that industry, if something goes south, man, somebody screwed up somewhere. Either you didn't do your right job on route planning, you didn't do the right job on intel gathering, or there's bad intel, which does happen. But
you were down in Colombia too, man. I bet you had some fucking you had some crazy circumstances down there.
Oh, dude, yeah, man. One day you and I'll grab a beer. We can talk. But dude. But
maybe I'll get you to give me one good one so we can put it in the story a little bit. We'll get to that later.
All right, cool, man.
Yeah.
So anyways, so I did that stint. After about 3.5 years, I came back home. I was tired of it. But the biggest thing that I took away from that, man, is guys who I had the opportunity to meet who were in Colombian Special Forces, which is called La Jungla. They're very good at counter narcotics and counter guerrilla warfare. Is when they went through the motion of having to execute on a mission and achieve an objective, whenever they would go through the process of killing someone who was an enemy, how they justified dealing with the trauma that was that of killing another human being, your own species. Because, dude, if you look at the animal kingdom and mammals in particular, human beings are the only mammals that methodically and strategically figure out how to kill one another, right? Like it's very different when you look at, like two lions who are battling, two bears that are battling, right? It's typically it's territorial, and a lot of the times, and you can make the argument because it does exist as far as, you see lions eat cubs, right? If those cubs don't belong to them, right, from a territorial perspective. But the strategic approach that human beings take to figuring out, like, nuclear warfare, biological warfare, like just seriously screwed up crap,
which is why we are the true apex predator of
absolutely.
Of why we're overrunning the fucking world, right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right, man. So, but when you think about that, there's also a ripple effect and there's a consequence to that, because the idea of killing off your own species in masses, in droves, right, when there's not a legitimate reason for your own survival, right? Thinking about, species survival. It's not like you're coming into my house and you're harming my kin, right? I'm here for political reasons and I have orders to execute a certain objective and you're in the way of that objective, so you're dying, right?
Right.
That's a very different position as far as justifying those actions of taking another human life. So anyways, long and the short, the way, what I found is...
nefarious reasons as opposed to nature reasons, nurture reasons.
That's exactly right.
Right.
So what I found...
It's interesting because you can think about those things sometimes, and you can think about how, like, as human beings, we're not too far off from other creatures. We just planned it a little bit better. You know what I mean? Like, our innate nature to survive and overcome means that we just consume way more than everybody else, and it means we have to destroy in order to do that. And it's not much different than, like, a lion would try to maintain his little area for his cubs. We just do it on a greater scale. It's
that's exactly
it's interesting, yeah. We're all fucking animals.
No, dude, we really are. We really are, dude. So, when you think about processing, so we're here in the States where we have clinicized the idea of dealing with trauma, dealing with the effects and the ripple effect of going through combat and being able to justify the fact that we killed another human being. It becomes clinical, hence the reason of PTSD. The D is in the most particular part because it stands for disorder, which means there's an abnormality, there's something wrong. So there's a negative connotation there. But what I found in the Colombian military, the folks that I interacted with, what they called it was demonios de guerra, right, which basically means demons of war. And so what they used to do to purify themselves of having those nightmares, having those flashbacks, constantly being in a state of stress, constantly not being able to relax and have normal social relationships because there's no trust, because ultimately they don't trust themselves. There is a big distinction between a clinical processing version and then a religious and spiritual one, which I found in the Colombian military and folks who I interacted with, because for them, listen, yes, did this happen? Yeah, and the folks that I killed was keeping me up at night. It's their spirit. They're haunting me. So they would go to confession, right? There would be a religious aspect where they would pray about it, and they would release it, and they would be fine. Like literally wash their hands of it, moving on, right? Well, here in the States, it doesn't necessarily work that way because we have clinicized it so much that, listen, there's medications, there's cognitive behavioral therapy, there's support groups. Take your pick, right? There's a whole entire line of things, right? And so I found it to be very interesting because now you have two cultures who have very distinct paradigms in how they interpret, process, and deal with combative trauma. One that showed a lot of efficacy in the sense that, listen, dude, ritualistically, once I do confession or I pray, I feel fine. I did what I needed to do. I spoke to a higher being, a higher power that put me on this earth, and I feel cleansed of what was done because that's what needed to be done. Where here, it's, I had orders, but then there's political incentives, and there's big corporations, the military-industrial complex, and why did I kill that 5-year-old kid? Because he was holding a bomb, but he didn't know any better, and I had to do my job to protect my men, so on and so forth. It's a massive domino effect, man, that compounds on top of one another and ultimately shifts the identity that you have, not as a soldier, more importantly as a human being, right? And so the military
do you think that that by clinicizing it, it gives it more meaning than by allowing it to be passed upon or passed over with just a communal religious experience? Do you
I think. Go ahead, brother.
Do you think that the over clinicizing of it makes it so that people have to deal with it on a larger meaning, therefore put more importance on it?
So I think, and the particular thing I guess that sticks out to me is to put more meaning on it, right? And the question there, I think, is meaning to who, right? So if we think of big pharma and companies that want to get involved from a behavioral therapy perspective, because there are medications, right? There are incentives to making it mean more, so to speak, and to say, hey,
it's what happens when the medical field is for profit. Exactly.
Bingo.
People want to make money.
People want to make money, bro. Like, it's the same thing. Like, we could talk about ADD, ADHD, all these things that exist. They're behavioral in nature, right? They're
classics.
Yes, dude. They're self-diagnoses because there's no biological evidence, so to speak, right?
I used to work. Just quick aside, I don't mean to interrupt you. But I used to work in a very high-end restaurant for a long time. I bartended at the Palm restaurant in Tampa. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a very, very high-end la-di-da restaurant. And we used to host pharmaceutical parties all the time. And I specifically remember watching pharmaceutical companies come in with OxyContin, you know, and huge Celebrex and these huge pharmaceutical companies, and they're wining and dining doctors with the sole intent to make them, you know, and of course they'll have some kind of literature, they'll have some kind of a meeting, but they're also giving them fucking, you know, $100 lobsters and $200 steaks and spending fucking $10,000 on dinner for fucking 30 doctors. You know what you know what I'm talking about? So when these doctors 100%. Are sitting around and they're trying to figure out how to diagnose and how to treat someone, rather than saying, oh, let's just do some therapy. Oh, you know what? Maybe we'll just write that Celebrex script because that chick was hot. Exactly, she had great tits and she bought me a fucking lobster. It's a horrible fucking system. Thank God they at least put some kind of hold back on that, and they kind of cut that back a little bit, but it's still fucking ridiculous.
It is.
OxyContin 100%. You'll never make me believe otherwise. Was a self-inflicted wound on our country. 100%.
Oh, 100%, bro.
Whatever. I'm getting off topic, but it's similar to what I can see what you're talking about.
But dude, like that is so real, right? And so then you think of the amount of funding that exists, and think of the amount of dollars, right? And I mean, think of Capitol Hill, right? And the relationships that exist there between big pharma and legislatures, right? And the VA,
right?
Dude, you know, I mean, they pop those things out, bro, in prescriptions like M&Ms. Right, and so
because it's easy. You get somebody a pill, you don't have to have any guy. You say, "Oh, here's this pill. It's going to keep you fucking sedated, so I don't have to fucking spend man hours because man hours are expensive. Man hours are ridiculous. It's fucking cheap because I buy these pills at fucking 25 cents a piece. I'm going to sell them to you for fucking $300 for the fucking bottle, and I'm going to make profit, and we don't have to give you therapy anymore because I'm going to give you pills to sedate you."
100. No, but you nailed it, bro. I mean, that's exactly right, dude.
My brother is a schizophrenic, so I see this firsthand with him.
You get it.
We don't have big means to take care of him, but I've seen him degrade over the years because of that same system. They don't do anything about it. They just give these fucking pills, and the pills are worse than the cure sometimes.
No, that's exactly right, dude. That's exactly right, man. So, you know, to me, that really perked my ears because I'm thinking to myself, damn, man, why is it that there's one model that has very good success that has nothing to do with a clinical setting, has everything to do with identity and going to a deeper spiritual level, right? And then
this could be a really good article, by the way. I don't mean to interrupt you again. I'm passionate. This is something that I'm passionate about, and I can already see the lines that you're drawing. Go ahead.
That's cool, bro. I mean, that's why, like, total side note, like, for me, this work, man, is like, it is a really big deal. Like, and I'm working hard to get to Tallahassee and to get the legislatures because the goal is for me to get BJJ tuition covered for vets and active military.
We'll get to that later. Keep talking. Keep talking. I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No, it's cool, man. So there's these two distinct paradigms where one has nothing to do with money, has nothing to do with pills, any sort of thing that would sway you biologically and ultimately keep you in a funk because it's going to hinder your productivity and what you can do to assimilate back into society because it turns you into a fucking zombie, right? And so then there's this other one where it's like, let's cleanse you.
Placate you.
Placate you. Yes, exactly, dude. And then there's another model where it's, wow, let's get to the essence, the ethos of what it is that you represent and stand for, and why did you do what you did, and what does it mean to you, right? And then this idea of repentance, of saying, I know this was wrong, but I had to do it in order to keep myself alive. And then you're seeking guidance and cleansing from a higher power. However you want to define it, man, of course, Colombia, it's a Catholic country, right? And so that's what was the medium for them, right? So
Exactly.
You look at ancient combative cultures, like the samurai, the Gurkhas, whatever the case is, like, bro, like the idea of meditation, the idea of cleansing your mind and your spirit and it becoming one, and then finding honor, finding things that have to do with loyalty and the identity that we carry as combatants, as warriors, and what it means, what the opportunity costs are, but also what the defining factors are, and being comfortable and being okay and knowing that, hey, that's normal. Like, there's nothing wrong with you, dude. Like, you just went through hell and back, and it's not PTSD. It's PTS. It's post-traumatic stress, but it's not a disorder because any human being who would go through that level of stress constantly, day in and day out, and then see brothers and sisters of yours die in combat to your left and to your right, and then you're doing horrific and atrocious things at the same time just to stay alive. Dude, what the hell do you expect?
Let me ask you a quick question, and if you're going to get to it eventually, I apologize. But do you feel like do you feel like part of the problem, because this is something that I see a lot with military people that have come back to the civilian life post-military, they have a difficult time assimilating into a normal culture that's not as rigorous as the military's standards are. And I mean that as to say, like, because they don't have this, not just the fraternal organization, but the organizations in a military setting has set for them, they tend to become listless and then further induce their depression and the PTS issues. I won't use the D in there, but the PTS.
No, dude.
The stress the stress associated with post-war problems.
Dude, 100%.
Something that you found conclusions from.
100%, dude. And the thing about it, bro, is PTSD in of itself, right? It's really a small sliver of the pie, right? Because truly the big challenge is reassimilation and reacculturation in general.
Right.
Because the socialization norms are so different, right? And bro, I mean, like think of the bond that you have with boys you've been rolling with for 10 years on the mat, right? And then bonds that you like, brother, like that is some seriously salient and silent. Like those are your brothers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're just pretending to protect each other's lives.
Exactly.
When you're actually out there in the field and your brother is your fucking lifelink to saving your life. I can't even imagine the bonds.
And that's the whole thing. You see, you go from having these incredibly strong bonds that are legitimately forged in blood and sweat and tears, and you come back to civilian society here in the States, and you're like, let's be real, like, the majority of folks that we interact with on a daily basis, we're selfish as shit. Like, it's a selfish culture, right? And so there's this pseudo trust that social media, I think, has built, right? But there's also this idea of, you know, it's nowhere near the same type of bond that you had from before, so they're lost. It's like, so who am I supposed to confide in? Who am I supposed to be able to trust? And who's going to actually have my six and have my back, right? And so where the challenge comes into play is, okay, so are they going to find that through getting behavioral therapy? Are they going to find that in getting opioids? Are they going to find that in some sort of support group at the VA? Maybe, right? But what is so unique about a military-style bond, especially for folks who have gone through combat with one another, is the heightened sense of stress, right? So, like, if you think of, let's go back to 9/11 real quick, right? Like, dude, and everyone, and you know this, right? When there's highly traumatic events that happen, it brings people together, right? And so, dude, 9/11 happened. Dude, the United States, we all bonded together immediately. It's like, whoa, that actually happened. We're, you know, dukes up, we're going to war, right? And so, and also the idea of wanting to support and be there for one another. Well, we may have friendships with folks, but if we've never experienced highs and lows of legitimate life-threatening stressors, right, there's a limit to that particular bond that we have with them that doesn't even compare to a bond that folks in the military have, right? So now, how can a civilian get an experience of having social relationships that are literally forged in combat, where you're giving it your all physically, at the same time your training partner, they're giving you the opportunity to push yourself physically, and so you both are doing each other a favor, because you wouldn't be able to have that experience otherwise. You have to have that other person. So
I always use that. I'm sorry again. I always use that analogy when I talk about the reasons why I believe that Jiu Jitsu is the best martial arts for self-defense. Okay?
Agreed,
so
100%.
I say this all the time, because, like, I personally don't believe that some of the techniques for Jiu Jitsu are the best out there for self-defense. I think the techniques from Krav Maga, even karate, Kung Fu, are far superior, particularly when we start talking about quick immobilization, quick defenses, and particularly dealing with multiple combatants. You know, Jiu Jitsu really ain't the best for that. Enough said. You know, it's obvious, you know?
For sure.
But the reason why Jiu Jitsu is the best martial arts for self-defense is because we simulate what it's going to be like in a real-life fighting scenario under duress and physical danger over and over and over again, day in and day out. So now, when you're confronted with the real thing, you've been there and you've done that over and over and over again. And I can see now the parallels you draw between the military and what it's. And again, it's not war. Nothing is war. Nothing is the same as putting a gun in someone's head. Just like nothing is the same as having a street fight. But we can duplicate that, therefore build those similar bonds that you build in a military-like setting. It's good.
You nailed it, right?
Keep talking. I'm really enjoying this conversation because that's a piece of jiu-jitsu that I really hold dear to my heart, that I feel like is like the golden, like the real like golden answer, to everything. It's the real like the chi and what it's soul is really makes jiu-jitsu so great.
Well, dude, and here's the thing, right? So it's kind of going off the riff of what you just said, though, right? Yeah, and so like you, I mean, I've trained, dude. I've had the opportunity. I mean, boxing, Muay Thai, Wing Chun, Kali, like they're all wonderful. They're all great in their own right. But there's something so very special and unique about jiu-jitsu, and I think it has a lot to do with, first and foremost, the idea of being able to legitimately go all out with one another and push your training partner.
Krav Maga is great. I'm like tell you, everything's amazing in Krav Maga. But until that guy is trying to kill you with a fucking knife, it's,
exactly.
I don't care how many times you drill taking that out of his fucking hand. I'm not saying it's you. Motherfucker.
That's all right, dude. You there?
Still there, man?
Yeah, bro, I'm here, man.
Hold on, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here, dude.
Sorry, my fucking Bluetooth went out.
That's cool, man. No worries, dude.
Until you're actually doing it in a live scenario, it ain't the same fucking thing. And that's what jiu-jitsu offers, the opportunity to duplicate those real life scenarios. Go ahead. Sorry, dude.
No, but you're right, though, dude. So now at 1 second, we're slapping hands and fist bumping. Dude, the next minute you're on my back with hooks and locking in a rear naked choke. And any other setting, you'd be killing me, right? So
exactly.
But yet at the same time, so we go from a paradigm, a fight or flight, where like, wow, I'm in a really disadvantageous position right now. He's got the up on me, and I have to tap, right? But the significance of the, like, dude, seriously, even if it's just one chapter of the study that you read, the idea of the tap, where it's a reset of reality, right? So, okay, I recognize that I would have failed. You would have tapped me, and lights would have been out. Well, in the military, you don't have that opportunity. Right,
exactly.
You have mission failure, people die, right? And so in jiu-jitsu, we have the opportunity to fail, but truly re-script, rewrite, learn, and let me do it again. So I get that do-over, right? And so there's cognitive therapy that exists where they literally will have like rapid eye desensitization therapy, where you literally will be put into a trance. You will replay whatever that major trauma was, and you'll have a therapist re-script it, right? So instead of thinking how it actually went down, let's think of a different way it could have gone down and how things would have been different for you, what life would have meant for you, right? Well, jiu-jitsu, we get to do that every single time we hit the mat and roll. We get the ability to re-script and rewrite how that role is going to play out. Why? Because I get to learn what my mistake was from before and not repeat it again. So that gives me an ability to condition myself to say, wow, failures are not just my men dying and it's on my hands. Failures are legitimately, they're learning opportunities where there is no loss of other life. There's just the idea that I didn't get the upper hand on that particular role, right? And so the comparison between the two, when they think about re-scripting and reframing previously lived trauma, it's incredibly powerful because in time, the idea of acceptance becomes much more prominent. If you think of what drives guys and gals who have PTSD to engage in substance abuse, to not be able to socialize, to not be able to have confidence or faith in themselves, it's because they have lost it somewhere along the line because they either can't get over what that trauma was and they feel like a failure themselves, or there is this concept and this ability of, I didn't do my job. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. And either that they can put the blame game on somebody, right? Or they can embody it themselves to say it was on them. But ultimately, jiu-jitsu provides an outlet that is physical, mental, plus social, and it combines all three. Where else, as a civilian, are you going to get the opportunity to engage in combat? Because it's exactly what it's empty-hand combat, where you push yourself to a level of stress and exhaustion because you're giving it your all, and at the same time, you're not getting injured, so to speak, and you're creating bonds with people who are doing the exact same, and you both are fighting at that moment in time. It is a legitimate fight, right? Now, we understand that there's training rules and there's training paradigms, which is great, but it's giving them that opportunity to be a combative warrior, again, in a civilian context, but I'm building constructive and productive social relationships while learning a new art and a new skill that parallels my identity as a warrior, which I had when I was in the military, which I lost when I became a civilian again.
Right.
That was a mouthful. Sorry, dude.
No. I get it. I'll go back and re-listen to that again. I get where you're heading with it. I lost a little bit of it there, but it's fine. I got it on recorded. I'll watch it again. So let's talk a little bit about your studies and some of the case studies you've done and some of the things, and some of the concrete parallels you've drawn that show that this type of therapy is helpful.
Yes, absolutely. So let's think about first social relationships, right? Which is a really big thing, right? And so the idea of what's called like social capital, banking relationships, right? How many people do you know? How many people do you have bonds with, right? Human beings by nature, we are social creatures, right? From birth, right? Like, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, everyone looks at it from an individual perspective, but the true baseline of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is socialization. Why? Because when I'm an infant and I'm born, dude, I can't provide shelter, water, and food for myself. I have to depend on my parent or my mother to do that for me. So inadvertently, man, out the womb, we are trusting other human beings. That's just part of being tribal, right, so to speak. So the ability to have social relationships with folks who you trust. Why? Because when you train with them, you are put in disadvantageous positions where you could get hurt, maimed, or even killed. But it doesn't happen. Why? Because we build trust. We understand the power of the tap. We also understand the power of a fist bump. We also understand the power that resides in being able to lock up in a clinch or lock up in, mount, side control, whatever have you, right? We have this ability to understand it's a learning opportunity, but I'm willingly giving you my body to use as a training tool. If that isn't trust, I don't know what is, right? And so they don't have that capacity to get that at home. They don't have the capacity to get that at their workplace because they don't trust those people. Why? What have you brought to the table to sacrifice for me? Right?
Exactly.
And so when we think about injuries we get, dude, we're sacrificing our bodies for each other, right? That's how we're learning, right? So when you think of the military, what are they sacrificing? Well, the guy to your left and to your right, he's willing to sacrifice your life, right? So where else am I going to get something as close as that in the civilian world? You're not going to find it. I haven't found it. I mean, there may be other mediums out there, but man, as far as what's blatantly obvious, jiu-jitsu definitely provides it. So that was one aspect. So we saw an increase with folks in their ability to socialize, carry conversations productively, want to engage with people socially, making themselves go to jiu-jitsu. Maybe there were days where they were tired and exhausted, but what drove them to go train is because they knew buddies they had accumulated and they'd acquired that they were going to be there, and they didn't want to let them down.
Let me ask you a question too. Do you feel like there's a level of common ground that these soldiers can now kind of relate to people with? I mean, because, a lot of times people that have been through any kind of particular stress, particularly people that have been at war, like they feel like other people are either inferior to them or cannot relate to their issues simply because they have never been in the field of war like themselves.
Absolutely.
Do you feel like the idea, the same thing you said, because these people are laying their body on the line the same way they're laying their body on the line, that now there's a sense of camaraderie because they too have put themselves in these duress situations the same way as the soldiers have, so now it makes it easier for them to feel like they have something to cling to.
100%, dude. There's an immediate parallel there. Right? And so you think of like, guys go through boot camp together, guys go through A school together, they go through different schools to train to get certain skills in the military. Well, the guys to your left and to your right, you're learning, you're teaching, you're working with one another, and that's fantastic. And ultimately, when you're doing rehearsals or running drills before you get deployed out, where else in a civilian context are they able to get that? And that has caused a massive challenge, man, a massive challenge for the VA because they can't provide an environment like that. Why?
Right.
Dude, it's gotta be, a little saucy in the sense that, dude, these guys are used to freaking stacking bodies, man. Like, sorry for not being PC about it, but legitimately.
No,
that's kicking door, freaking door kicking dudes. So like,
operated motherfuckers.
Yeah, dude, exactly. And these are high octane, tuned up. Let's rock and roll, right? And so it's like you take them out of that environment and now say, hey, go work an 8 to 5 Monday through Friday and go sit in traffic for 2 hours a day.
Right,
and deal with this passive aggressive bullshit that is corporate America.
Right, when you're used to fucking bitch smacking somebody,
exactly,
or you're in an environment where like the strong survive, so you don't talk to other people that way, or you have hierarchy, and I get all of that, exactly.
Well, and that's the thing, though. Like, where else do you
it's difficult for me. It's difficult for me, and I've never been to war. You know, I can murder pretty much anybody on the fucking street, and like when they get lifted with me, it's difficult for me to be like, hey man, like, you know, if I really want to, I could snap your fucking head off right now. Right? You know what I mean? Sorry, your fucking coffee's cold. There's not enough ice in your fucking cocktail. Maybe we can think of a better way to deal with this.
No, but dude, it's so true, man. And to your point, dude, with hierarchy. So that was another thing that became apparent out of the study, right? They thirst for hierarchy, right? But legitimate hierarchy in the sense of, hey, it's not some fat fuck, you know, who's pointing and giving me orders and telling me what to do.
Not your manager at the Jiffy Lube or whatever fucking shit job you got.
Dude.
Someone that's actually put in the time and deserves your respect.
Exactly, and the guy who's calling the shots can roll my ass into an accordion. So I better think twice about being lippy or stepping out of line, right?
Exactly.
So
okay.
There's a lot of value in that, right? Because if you think of old school commanders and guys, whether it's infantry, special operations, dude, they didn't get to become a commander, but you know, like that for being a fucking pansy, right? Like they did their time and they're badass motherfuckers, man. So same thing applies, right? So, you know, you have a boss at your job, or you're dealing with a domestic situation at home, and your wife doesn't understand what you went through, and she can't relate. You know, dude, there's a massive amount of frustration because they can't articulate to them what they want to say because they're just not going to understand. So it's going to cause more confusion in their relationship. So what's the outlet? What do you guys have? You're going to go lift weights? Are you're going to go to a boxing gym? You're going to go to an MMA? Okay, that's fine. But what I saw was, and there were many participants who said, listen, man, I've trained a lot of different martial arts. Nothing provides me with the outlet and the release that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu does. There is something about being able to roll. There is something about being able to understand that those who are ahead of me in their progression and ahead of me in skill, knowing that they can roll my ass up at any given time, I respect that. Why? Because it gives me something to strive for, and it allows me to have conversations with them where the majority of them, they're all cool as shit. They just want to help. They want to teach you, right?
The thing, I don't know, to draw a few more parallels, I say this all the time because I boxed for a long time. I boxed. That was my biggest background. I boxed for years and years and years. And I teach private lessons of boxing. I teach private lessons in jiu-jitsu. And what you tend to find out a lot of times in striking and boxing is like, it takes years and years and years to truly master, but it's fucking boring, man. There's not much to it. You know, there's not much to kickboxing. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but it's just the truth. Jiu-jitsu, there's literally an infinite number of scenarios, an infinite number of technical abilities, an infinite number of freaking pathways to go down from positions to positions. And it takes fucking, a decade to master it all. It just really fucking does. So you see that sequential growth period over an extended period of time, and you see a purple belt or you see a brown belt, and you know those motherfuckers got their ass kicked for a long fucking time. Before, dude, trust me, these are all things that like I love about jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I believe me, I love the idea that jiu-jitsu, I'm a bad motherfucker. I love all the fucking aspects of jiu-jitsu that I learned how to fight. I learned all the things that were cool. But the secondary side effect and the secondary benefit of this that people don't realize until it's hard. Some people don't even realize it's happened to them. I've seen it build confidence and take people that were weak-minded people from before and make them strong. And not strong in the sense of now they're fucking arrogant chest puffers that but confidence in the true sense of the word of confidence, because they've overcome obstacles. They've done things in their lives that they never thought were possible, and it happened because of jiu-jitsu, because that growth that they went through. They fucking flushed at something for so fucking long, but they said, you know what, I'm not going to fucking quit. And then like magic, they wake up one day and they're like, holy fuck, I know how to fucking do this shit. But you never really learn. There's always somebody out there that's better than you. It's amazing that and jiu-jitsu is like, it's really, bro, there's not much else out there in the world that really gives you that same feeling. Really not. No other martial arts out there around.
No, dude, agreed 100%, man. And that really is one of the most fascinating things to me about it, man, because you think of the proximity you have when we're training, right? It's like we're boxing, right? There's range, there's distance, right? And you can feel like you're not body to body the entire time, right? And so at a very primal level, there is something to be said about having proximity with another human being, right? The sense of touch, being able to feel, right? And I mean, like, no homo, right? But like legitimately,
no, I get it. No,
You know what I'm saying?
Right, for sure, right.
But like, you know, building trust with somebody when we're locked in like that and we're working strategy and we're working the chess game that is jiu-jitsu, dude, where else are these folks, especially veterans, who have this propensity at times to be very distant from other people? They don't want to get close. They don't want to talk. Now, all of a sudden, bro, like, guess what? Like, we're in each other's face. We're sweating and we're bleeding on one another, dude. You don't have a choice because this is the game. Why? Because right now, we're imitating an actual fight, right? And
right.
So it gives them that ability to break down certain walls where they don't have that need to have, you know, distance or you know, we'll go outside wearing military boots and tactical pants and a long sleeve shirt. Dude, now I'm going to go around in my shorts and flip flops and a tank top because I'm just straight chill. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
let's get back on topic. I'm enjoying talking to you, but I want to get back to some of the concrete things that you study, because that's the important, that's the meat of it. To get some of the concrete evidence and some of the case studies and things that you follow through.
Sure.
And I'll eventually read that fucking paper before I write this, but maybe I'll
no,
just
it's all
back
good, dude. It's a beast of a freaking document.
It's written in fucking like medical jargon and shit. It's like fucking. It's like reading stereo instructions to me. I'm sure somewhere there's a psychologist jerking off to it, but like in my meager fucking literary capabilities, it was like, what the fuck?
No, I know, dude.
It's better to hear you talk about it. So tell me some more. So we talked about obviously the camaraderie. We talked about developing a hierarchy. Tell me some more things that there's some of the benefits.
Absolutely, dude. So decrease in actual substance abuse, right? And so there were several of the participants who said that after training in jiu-jitsu long enough, they didn't have the need to want to drink anymore. They didn't have the need to want to take Paxil or Zoloft or Xanax. All that stuff became irrelevant to them. Why? Because the medication of choice became training, right? Because why it became a culture, became a lifestyle for them, where there were actual neurohormones and biological consequences to training. Why? Because it's exercise, right? And so, you know, you get the endorphins really. You know, at the same time, you got cortisol pumping, and we're getting into a fight or flight, you know, situation as well, because it's like, whoa, dude, all right, I'm going to roll with this cat tonight. He is a purple, or he just got his brown. I haven't rolled with him yet. I know he's going to mop my ass, but whatever, dude, I'm going to give it my all, right? And so,
but you're still using your brain in a deeper level as opposed to just going out and lifting weights or beating somebody up. You're thinking, so you're getting the exercise, but you're also hooked on wanting more knowledge, hooked on trying to like develop this and thinking to yourself, well, fuck, man, if I go out drinking, I take those fucking opiates, I'm not going to want to train tomorrow. So I'm going to go home and get a nice sleep. Right. I used to be a fucking cokehead, man. You know, I mean, I'll just be flat out with you. I'm not playing. You know what I mean? I was a piece of shit, and I'm a very huge proponent on understanding and realizing that the fact that I continued and started to train jiu-jitsu and push myself and continued to train saved my life from going down in some fucking shit sheet, because I couldn't go out and do a fucking 8-ball over the weekend and still function on the mat the next day. I just couldn't fucking do it. And jiu-jitsu was that important to me, and it helped me beat my poor habits and shit. But
well, but you nailed it though, bro. Like it becomes that outlet for you now, right? Because there's a very real biological consequence to the physical actions you're putting your body through, right? But at the same time, it's like the holy trinity, man. Like, because it's your biology with your physiology with your mentality, and it all comes together, right? And so you're seeking to achieve a goal, right? And that's to get better, and because it's a constant challenge, dude. No one role is the same, just like no one gunfight is the same. It's different every single time. And so what do you have to work off of? Principles. What are the principles that have been forged you to understand and navigate that field of combat?
That's great, man. I like that a lot.
Yeah, dude, it's a field of combat, bro, right? And so I could sit here and give you cookie-cutter tactics all day. Those tactics aren't going to mean shit because I don't know where you're fighting and who you're going to fight.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So it's constantly evolving. You have your you have your fucking your mantra, or you have your set strategy, things that you like to incorporate, but it's never going to be the same. You always every fight is always going to be different. I like that.
Dude. Dude. And you know, like, dude, a really quick side note, right? It's like, dude, I just started training again, right? I'm training with Louis Massa, right? So down at Great.
Louis is my dog. Yeah, Louis is my dog.
Yeah, dude. And
I was literally. It's funny when I was talking to you. When I was in Apollo Beach when I was calling you, because I stopped at I pulled off. I'm on the way to Sarasota to get to my beach place, and I pulled off the road to fucking to get something to eat in Apollo Beach. That was pretty funny. I'm probably right down the street from Jim. Jim's right. Jim was probably right across the street from me.
Dude, that's
anyway, go ahead.
So, no, it's cool, man. So, but dude, I just started kicking a train with him again after I was out for a while. I had a really bad back injury. But dude, stepping on the mat with him, like I remember rolling with him way back in the day when he was a blue purple belt, dude, and rolling with him now. And bro, I'm a 4-stripe blue. Like I'm still a baby right in the game.
Right. Yeah.
Right, dude. Bro, he was throwing stuff on me I had never seen before, like the leg lock game and also the crap. And I'm like, bro, I don't remember any of that. He's like, bro, the game's changed, man. Like constantly, and it's true because
the fact he's trained. You know, he's that much because he's trained consistently for the last fucking years.
He's an animal.
So like. Yeah, I've been training with Lewis for a long time. That little motherfucker. I love training with him. He's kind of hurt. His knee's kind of fucked up, so he hasn't been training too much lately. But like, I was just thinking about how much I miss rolling with him.
He's awesome, dude.
Especially
he's
leg locks. He's really good with leg locks. Dude, he
throws them on me like a clinic, bro. Throws them on me like a clinic.
Do me a solid. Don't say too much about me opening the gym up because it's out there, but I don't want too many.
Oh no, it's cool, bro. No,
Yeah.
dude. Hey, bro, listen, man. Yeah. I'm a nobody, brother. I keep my mouth shut. Yeah. No worries.
I got you. I just want to throw that out there just so I don't fucking get you because I don't want too many people fucking. Well, what's cool because this shit starts happening and people start talking shit and stuff like that. I want people to know when I put my sign out. Hey, here's my fucking gym.
No, good on you, bro. No, absolutely. I totally get it.
Anyway, that's not important. So,
good.
So let's start wrapping this up. Let's get. I mean, I'm really enjoying talking to you. Trust me, this is going to be a great article. I'm really looking forward to writing on this because this is something that I'm passionate about, very passionate about. Not only just the fact that it's helping PTSD people, but just in general, the healing effects and the growing effects Jiu Jitsu offer to everybody, and in particular, seeing that it has on people that have given so much of their lives for me. Now it's an opportunity for us to give that back to them, and it's something that I feel like is very, 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 very good. So,
nailed it, dude.
Any other specifics about what we've talked about that you feel like would be beneficial to include into the article?
For sure, man. So 2 quick things, right? So employment, right? So being able to navigate stress at the workplace, which led to them being able to hold down a job, right? So not flying off the handle, right? Being able to deal with things and utilize, effective verbal de-escalation or just laugh stuff off because they have that outlet they go to every night or every other day or whatever the case is where they
helps with assimilation into a regular society.
Bingo. Because the problem is that, dude, people get out of the military and there's this notion that society in the military does a horrific job at preparing people to reassimilate because there's this expectation, okay, your time in service is done, go find a job, go become a civilian. Dude, that's total bullshit. How can you expect somebody who's been stacking bodies for years and now all of a sudden you're telling them to go work a 9 to 5? Like, are you crazy? Right. And so
why can't you? What's wrong with you? You must have a disorder. Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
I get that.
Exactly. And so now it's a question of, no, dude, you never ever stop being a warrior, right? You never stop being a fighter. Once you've gone through that, it is forged in your soul, right? Once you've done stuff like that, man, that is there. So you can't ignore that part of your identity. You have to constantly feed it. But the manner in which they feed it, it has to change, right? And that's an outlet Jiu-Jitsu can have, or it does have. And the study showed that it really, really contributed to these guys being able to communicate more effectively, to be more patient, because they didn't feel like they had to forget about the glory days of being an ass kicker. They're still able to do that, and they're still able to build a confidence, but also be humbled at the same time because they're reminded that there's always someone better is always right in front of you, right? Which means that there's always something to strive for, right? So there's not this, well, when I was a Marine or when I was a SEAL, right? Yeah, you were that, but now you are someone, you are a BJJ practitioner, but that means also that you're a warrior. And that warrior ethos, man, that is ingrained in who they are. And so you have to constantly feed that. When you ignore that part of your identity, that creates massive gaps in how it is that you look at yourself in the mirror and who you are as a person. So it helps with the employment facet of it, right? And then also just domestic relationships, right? So we had quite a few participants who spoke about them being able to have a much more productive relationship with their kids, much more productive relationship with their parents, with their spouses, because they began to build the confidence in themselves to understand that, hey, I am just a human. Yes, I was a Marine. Yes, I was a soldier. Yes, I was an airman. But at the end of the day, I am on a much bigger journey that has a lot more to do with just my identity in the military. I understand that I'm a combatant in general, and it's in my heart to protect people. But how I go about doing that and training and conditioning myself for that can change. And so being able to break that barrier allowed them to bring a level of authenticity and being genuine and being open to having those productive conversations with family members who meant so much to them before they left, before they went into the military, and is a pivotal point in the foundation of their identity in general. So,
dude, I'm gonna have you on the podcast too, man. We're gonna get you out on the get you some press on the podcast too.
Oh, bro, I'd love it.
Keep talking. Yeah, we're gonna get you on.
Dude, I'd love it, man.
This is good conversation.
But so yeah, dude, hey, bro.
Quickly, tell me in particular, tell me some details about the case study. How many people did you interview? How many people did you conduct the research on? Where did the research start? How did you come up with the idea? I got to get an idea how you came up with the idea. Tell me about funding, all the other things that you did had to make it work.
100%, man. So data collection consisted of 20 participants. I pulled those participants from Gracie South and Gracie North. Okay. The data collection process itself took about a year, right? And so that consisted of participant observation, that consisted of qualitative interviews, that also consisted of surveys, focus groups, and semi-structured interviews. I did want to do official psychological inventories, and I had 3 of them set up that were stress and anxiety trait factors, or inventories, I should say. The challenge that I ran into there is once I busted those out with first few participants, they didn't like it. They weren't part of it. So give me a quick idea of what psychological would they, the stress induced, see how they deal with the situation, and if there was an improvement post and pre training. That's exactly right. So the idea is 100%. So it would be stress inventories, depression and anxiety inventories as well, and the idea would get a quantitative measurement from start to finish of data collection.
I probably would. Yeah, I probably won't include that just because it wasn't part of it, but.
No, for sure. But it was one of the shortfalls and the shortcomings in the research.
So
I would have loved to have that.
Yes, but so the majority of your research and your findings were interview based and from a direct interview based, a conversational based.
Correct.
About how you feeling before, how you feeling now. Some of the things have changed. How's your life improved?
That's exactly right, dude. So it's interviews and focus groups. So focus groups are really important. And then there's a qualitative method we use called participant observation. So I don't know if you don't remember this, dude, but like I'd go.
I remember when you came in. I remember you coming in a few times. But I'm sorry.
No, it's cool, man. But I would sit there and I would be watching everybody who was involved, and I would be taking field notes, right? And so watching their interactions with one another, and then over time how those would change with certain participants, right? And so which shined quite a bit of light and value as well. So, but yeah, there was no hardcore quantitative measurements in this study. It was majority qualitative.
Okay. Is this something that you would like to increase the spectrum of your research into a more scientific realm based upon what you produce? Is that one of your goals?
I would love to do it. I think at a microcosm, the challenge I ran into is in order to do that, I would need to do official clinical psychology inventories, which would require like white coat type stuff. And man, the guys I presented that to,
don't want no part of that.
I don't want to feel like I'm at the VA, dude. Like I'm tapped out on all that. Like we can have a conversation on that school, which I understood, and I didn't want to push the envelope for sure. But in theory, I'd love to do that.
So yeah. Do you think that would be something that maybe you could down the road convince? What the fuck? Did I lose my fucking thing, bitch? Is that in theory? You think something that maybe you can convince other participants to? Sorry, I'm just pulling in my place. Do you feel like maybe if there was some kind of monitoring conversation or something involved down the road that you could convince people to maybe go down that road? Or do you even think do you even think it's necessary to move it to the next level?
So I don't think it's I think the VA is starting to get smart in the sense of they're realizing that all the stuff they've been trying to do, it's failing miserably, right? And so they're open to ideas, right? And so, dude, look, I mean, a sample size of 20 participants, it's not a lot, bro. It's not like saying, a study with 1,000 people or 10,000 people. Or saying that, I took blood samples and I was able to measure cortisol levels and epinephrine and all this kind of stuff, or doing MRIs and seeing change in brain function. What provide more credibility from a funding perspective, from a state and federal funding? Of course. But the saliency of the data, what does all this boil down to? It boils down to quality of life, right, for our veterans and our nation's heroes, right? And so what can we do to make sure that they assimilate appropriately to enhance their quality of life, to continue making positive contributions to society at large, and not feeling like they're not wanted, not feeling like they're a throwaway, or feeling like everything they did was for no reason and they sacrificed themselves and their friends for no reason, right? And so and for me personally, dude, that tells the whole story. If you're telling me you're doing something and it costs $150, $160 a month for you to do it, but it's changing your life and it's keeping you in a positive mentality and it's allowing you to share your experiences with others constructively, that's done. Sign and sealed, man. Like, where did the funding dollars go to, right? But I think we all know that, decision makers at Capitol Hill don't work that way.
What? Two questions. First of all, what do you feel like it would require to get that funding? What do you feel like it would require to be able to do this? And what do you feel like, what's your main goal with this research to accomplish?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, man. So there's two things, right? And so first and foremost, funding from the VA to proactively pay for the tuition of combat veterans and veterans in general, their tuition to attend BJJ, and then also offering it as a part of TRICARE. TRICARE is the insurance branch of what provides insurance for active military members, right? And so there's plenty of proactive health programs that we as civilians, our insurance companies, like there's some insurance companies do, like, you show that you're going to a gym and you're proactively getting ahead and taking care of yourself, they will contribute money to your gym membership, right? And so, sorry, dude.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, dude, I can hear you, man.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck happens with this damn thing sometimes. Go ahead, go back again. Go back a little bit. I missed. So with the VA, you want to get TRICARE. There's health benefits to covered, like health clubs and stuff are covered.
Well, exactly, right. So VA, dude, funding there is limited, right? Because they are incredibly just nonchalant about what they do with their dollars, right? And there's a lot of special interest that goes into that as well. And then there's the TRICARE side, right, which is for active duty members, and it's what takes care of their health insurance issues, right? And so to be able to find incentives, right, to where whether it's TRICARE, the VA, or both, they will provide the dollars for tuition for folks, not just the military members and veterans, but their families as well, to participate in BJJ together as a step forward in creating a proactive and healthy environment which will help the reassimilation and reacculturation process for folks coming back from combat deployment, because it's a shared bond. It's something they can do together as a family as well, right? And so it kind of kills two birds with one stone. It's not just the idea of, hey, Mr. Marine, you're going to go and you're going to start training BJJ and it's going to help you. No, we're going to have your wife and your kids start training it as well, right? And if they want to, right? But it provides this content for discussion. It provides a physical plus mental plus social activity that they can all bind and bond together, which will then catapult and elevate into different conversations, whether it's about school, work, family issues. But it can serve as a binding element that forges trust. That is very unique and it's very different than they would get of just going to a YMCA.
Right. So how did you come up with what was your approach to running this study on your own? Was it completely on your own? Is it something you did by yourself? Was there any kind of monetary compensation for you for doing this?
No, not at all, man.
This is just some shit you did because you felt like it was the right thing to do.
100%, dude. So me completing thanks, man. But no money in it whatsoever, dude. It's one of those things that, for me, I know the difference that training in jiu-jitsu has made in my life and other people that I have trained with, and I know that there's something just very special about it, and I'm still a baby in the journey, man. So for guys who do this for years and years and years and years, I mean, dude, it becomes a massive binding component of your identity and who you are, right? And so I knew there was value there, but more importantly, I also knew that there's introductions to jiu-jitsu that these guys get when they're in the military, right? So the Army Combative Program, the Marine Corps Martial Arts Program. Right? And so, like, dude, that is all. I mean, dude, Robbie Kahn, like, he was the head instructor up at McDill for combatives for I don't know how many years.
Right? A long time, yeah.
Yeah, dude. So there's a familiarity component. So there's this idea of, wow, we all know what happened the first 3 UFCs. And then there's this idea of what it means to be well-versed in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And so now if I've been exposed to this while I was in the military and it coincides with my military identity, but now you're telling me that I can carry that into my civilian identity, I have a string of commonality that bridges my identity as a combatant deployed to now being a combatant, but as a civilian and being someone who's a productive person in society, right? But I have a consistent factor. There's a consistency there. Right. And so that, to me, that is the missing gap, because I know when I came back from my time living in Colombia, I mean, dude, it's nothing like living in Afghanistan, that's for damn sure. There's a lot of value in having something that would be consistent, and I didn't have that, right? It was like a complete cut. All right, you're back in the United States, and get back to doing what you used to do. So I saw a bit of a parallel, completely different degrees of it, right? Mine's like saying kindergarten compared to college, what these guys went through. Right. But Jiu-Jitsu definitely helped me in that. And guys I knew who had been training Jiu-Jitsu who were in the military, they kept talking about, oh my God, dude, Jiu-Jitsu saved my life. Like, you didn't even know, man. It's crazy what I would be doing if I didn't have this. Right. So I knew there was something there, and I wanted to dig into it even farther. So that's what kind of pushed it forward and perpetuated it.
All right, man. Real quick, do you have any? And what'd you get your degree in? Does it have anything to do with any kind of medical field or anything like that?
No. So my PhD is in what's called Neuroanthropology. So it's neuroscience mixed with human behavior and culture.
Oh, so you're a fucking doctor. You're not some asshole. I don't mean that. I don't mean that. I'm just, you know what I'm talking about?
No, it's cool.
I was trying to draw the parallels between, this guy was this guy fucking like, well, you went from being a security mercenary to doing postgraduate PhD work. You know what I mean? I'm trying to figure out, is this guy really a doctor, or is he just some fucking, what I mean? It's admirable all the same. But obviously you're a pretty intelligent. You're a pretty intelligent guy. I can tell by speaking to you. But okay, so cool. Now I'm gonna write the article. Thanks for wasting an hour. So I get it. So in short, do you feel like what you've done will be enough to accomplish what your goals would be to assimilate it and have the VA to start doing things? Do you feel like this is your goal from this particular dissertation would be to build upon a bigger, larger test study, larger than 20 people, to make it more real and make it more with more conclusive evidence to be able to get more things accomplished?
You nailed it, dude. It's a step in the right direction, right?
Right. So
perfect. To do this the right way, man, there needs to be samples pulled from some of the most heavily populated states with veterans and military members, and and do a longitudinal study with biological components, quantitative and qualitative. Because, to roll this out the right way, man, you're talking millions of dollars of funding just in the sense of having facilities that are dedicated to this. Because what about the adaptive participant, the guy who doesn't have a leg, the guy who doesn't have an arm, right?
Right.
There's no reason why they couldn't participate as well. It just needs to be shifted just a smidge, right? But it's still good.
Right, and they're gonna want to know, obviously, if there's any kind of negative repercussions at all. Maybe some of these guys go nuts and end up fucking reverting back to fucking wartime antics and try to kill people and shit.
Yeah, and dude, I'll tell you, man, we had one participant who said, "Dude, I trained jiu-jitsu because I like to beat up people." That was a legitimate response. Right now, he didn't last in training, but
we had a guy that trained with us for a while. That used to do privates with Billy Quarantello. I don't know if he's a part of your case study or not, but he had really, really bad PTSD, man, really fucking bad. It was so bad that he would be like, fucking, I can't come to train today, man. I'm just fucking I can't be around anybody. I'm losing my mind. And he was really bad. He probably had some definite psychosis that was, intermingled from before, that was brought out because of the wartime. But he was really fucked up. So I mean, these are all things that I'm really curious about, and these are things that I'm going to do my best to try to relay. And one last question, just because I feel like if I don't ask it, everyone's gonna be like, "How the fuck did you not ask this question?" Like, how the fuck did you end up as a goddamn security guard in fucking in Colombia? If you're a fucking like if you're telling me you're doing your fucking postdoctorate work and fucking whatever the fuck you told me it was, I'll go back and rewind and listen to it again.
No, it's all good, man. So went to bodyguard school. Came back and did a few security gigs here and there locally, but started my master's in international relations at USF with a concentration in security studies, particularly in Latin America. So I became very good and off of studying about the group called ELN. ELN is probably the second largest guerrilla group back then. I don't know if they are anymore now.
I'm familiar with that a little bit. I kind of get that. What was it? The Liberation National?
Nacional. That's exactly right, dude.
Yeah, they were the ones that they were the ones that were going against.
And nasty motherfuckers, dude.
I watched a couple of documentaries. They're in that Narcos documentary. They got involved in and all this shit like that. Anyway, whatever. Go ahead.
No, dude. So I got hired by a company called Affinity Global, large global procurement firm. I spoke Spanish. Obviously had a background in martial arts and firearms, went to bodyguard school. So they were looking for somebody to occupy the territory as a PSD agent, protective services detail agent, just a fancy way of saying bodyguard. I'm down in Latin America. So I was like, dude, I'm young. I'm not married, don't have kids. Like, why not? I'll give it a roll. So that's what led me into that work.
Okay. So then you came back, and so was that a psychology field in the beginning? Was it something that was like specifically geared towards you going into the bodyguard industry? Because you went to bodyguard school. What did you get your undergraduate in?
So my undergraduate is in English, of all things. And I minored in psychology.
Okay. So based upon what you learned in Colombia, was the impetus for you to go back to school and go into psychology as your doctorate work?
Yeah, the biggest thing that fascinated me was the difference in combative cultures. And that I was like, wow. Like, that is really pronounced, man. And it fascinated me, dude. Like, it was like, wow, how these guys deal with it. And, like, they're experiencing the same things, but they're processing it and they're coping with it in very different ways. And it's just, that part fascinated me.
So one more time, tell me what your doctor PhD is in.
Absolutely. It's a neuroanthropology. And dude, like, I can send you,
do me a favor. Send me some things. Anything you want to send me, just so I can look at it. I'll have enough off of this. All right, so I think I got enough. I had a great conversation with you, man. I really did. And we're gonna have a podcast because I think you're gonna be fucking awesome to talk to in the podcast. You're a really well-spoken guy, and I think it'll bring more light to what. Because it's about jiu-jitsu and it's about the healing properties of jiu-jitsu, and I think it's a very interesting conversation.
All right, guys, that was Uncle Coach Kevin speaking with Gino Collura, a PhD in Neuroanthropology and a blue belt in Jiu Jitsu. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did, and we'll see you next time on the Old Man Grappling Hour.